The emergency klaxon had finally stopped, and now there was only the sound of my breathing and the constant, humming white noise of the life support systems. I stared at the airlock door, still processing what had just happened. They'd left me. Actually left me. It's just a precaution, Ellie, Commander Diana Walsh had assured me, her voice crackling through my helmet comm as the rest of the crew piled into the emergency shuttle. The solar storm is stronger than anticipated. You'll be safer in the bunker section. We'll be back once it passes. That was 37 days ago. My name is Eleanor Ellie Novak, and I'm, or was, the backup systems engineer for Mars Outpost Ares 7. The person they send when no one else wants to go. The redundancy. The expendable one. That's the fourth failed transmission today, I muttered to myself, slumping back in the comm station chair. Which is impressive considering Mars and Earth are currently in optimal alignment for communication. If I sound bitter, it's because I am. The Terran Space Agency promised the crew would return within 5 days. When they didn't, I sent messages. When those went unanswered, I sent emergency pings. When those did nothing, I tried the Artemis station in lunar orbit. Still nothing. Either the entire Sol Systems communication network had mysteriously failed or nobody wanted to talk to poor, abandoned Ellie. I spun lazily in the chair, surveying the outpost's main hub. Ares 7 wasn't large, a central dome with 6 connecting modules forming a rough hexagon. The place was designed for a crew of 8, with just me it felt like a mausoleum. All right, Novak, I said aloud. Talking to myself had become a habit around day 12. Resource check. I pulled up the inventory system on the nearest terminal. Oxygen recycling, operating at 82% efficiency. Water purification, operating at 94% efficiency. Food stores, 127 days remaining. Power, solar array at 63% capacity, dust accumulation. Not great, not terrible. I rubbed my eyes. The food would last a while longer since I was just one person instead of 8, but the oxygen recycler was showing signs of strain. The solar array needed cleaning, but that meant going outside, and lately, going outside made me nervous. It wasn't just the isolation driving me crazy, though that was certainly a factor. It was the things I'd been noticing since around day 20. Small things at first, tools not quite where I'd left them. Dust patterns on the external cameras that seemed to move against the wind. And the static. Always the static. I switched on the radio receiver again. Standard protocol dictated checking all frequencies twice daily. For the first 2 weeks, I'd gotten nothing but the empty hiss of dead air. Then the static had started, not just white noise, but something almost rhythmic. Patterned. Like breathing. This is Ares 7 emergency broadcast. Engineer Eleanor Novak requesting immediate extraction. Please respond. I waited, counting to 30 as I always did. HSSSSSSSSSS. LL, HSSSSSSSSS, asterisk. I jolted upright, yanking the headphones off as if they burned me. That wasn't static. That was a voice. Or at least, something trying to be a voice. Hello? I called out to the empty room, immediately feeling foolish. Is someone receiving me? I put the headphones back on hesitantly. HSSSSSSS. Ellie, stay HSSSSSSS, asterisk. My hands trembled as I shut off the receiver. That wasn't a transmission from Earth. The voice, if you could call it that, was too distorted, too hollow. And nobody from TSA would address me as Ellie. You're losing it, Novak, I whispered to myself. Classic isolation psychosis. Next you'll be having tea with hallucinated penguins like that old Antarctica researcher. The lights flickered suddenly and I nearly jumped out of my skin. Oh, fantastic, I groaned, heading to the power control module. Just what I need. The main power distribution panel showed a surge in Section 4, the Eastern Solar Array. I'd need to check it, which meant going outside. Which meant confronting whatever was creating those strange patterns in the dust. I suited up methodically, running through the EVA checklist with perhaps more care than necessary. My hands still shook slightly as I sealed the helmet. Pressure stable, oxygen flowing, communications online, I narrated to myself. Heading out to check Eastern Array. Estimated duration, 30 minutes. The airlock cycled with painful slowness. As the exterior door finally slid open, the red Martian landscape spread before me. Beautiful, desolate, and utterly hostile to human life. I stepped out onto the rusty soil, my boots leaving clear imprints. That's when I noticed them, other prints, not human, more like furrows. Undulating patterns in the dust that led toward the malfunctioning solar array. That's not wind, I breathed. I followed the markings cautiously, one hand on the utility knife at my belt as if that would do anything against whatever could survive in the Martian atmosphere. The eastern array came into view and I stopped dead. The solar panels were intact, but something was on them. A thin film of what looked like red frost, pulsing slightly as if alive. As I watched, it spread a fraction of an inch further across the black surface. I approached slowly, scientific curiosity momentarily overriding fear. The substance seemed to react to my proximity, rippling faster as I came closer. That's when I heard it again, not through the radio this time, but somehow directly in my helmet. "Ellie, we've been waiting for someone like you, asterisk." I stumbled backward, my heart hammering against my ribs. The red film on the solar panel surged suddenly, reaching toward me like a wave before receding. "What the hell are you?" I whispered. The dust at my feet began to move, swirling upward in a small vortex before settling into a distinct shape, an arrow pointing back to the habitat. The message couldn't have been clearer. Go back inside. I didn't need to be told twice. I turned and half ran, half bounded back to the airlock in the low Martian gravity. As the outer door sealed behind me, I caught one last glimpse of the landscape through the small window. All the dust was moving now, flowing like water across the ground. Flowing toward the outpost. Toward me. Day 38 of isolation. And I'm either losing my mind or being courted by Mars itself. I spoke into the personal log recorder, pacing the length of the main hub. The Eastern Solar Array is now operating at 97% efficiency, despite being covered in some kind of organic frost? If that's even possible. I hadn't slept since my encounter outside. How could I? Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that rippling red substance reaching for me. I heard that voice, somehow both ancient and newborn, whispering my name. The lights flickered again, but differently this time. Not a power surge, but almost like a pattern. A code. "Are you trying to communicate?" I asked aloud, feeling only slightly ridiculous. 1 flicker for yes, 2 for no? The lights dimmed once, definitively. My mouth went dry. "Are you Martian? Native to this planet?" 1 flicker. "Are you planning to kill me?" 2 flickers. Well, that was something at least. I sank into a chair, mind racing. Why me? Why now? There have been humans on Mars for years. The terminal near me lit up on its own. Text appearing letter by letter as if typed by invisible hands. "We were dormant. Your solitude awakened us. Your isolation matched our own. You've been alone too," I whispered, understanding dawning. "For how long? Millions of your years. We once were many. Now we are few." I should have been terrified. Instead, I felt an unexpected kinship with this ancient, patient intelligence. "What do you want from me?" The answer appeared slowly. "Symbiosis. Partnership. Continuation." I don't understand. The red substance I'd seen on the solar panels began seeping through the ventilation system. Not aggressively, but almost cautiously. It hovered in the air, then formed itself into a rough humanoid shape across from me. "Humans leave. They always leave. You were left behind. We offer another way." The realization hit me like a physical blow. "You want me to stay, to become part of you." The figure nodded, its movement unnervingly human. "And if I refuse?" I asked. The figure gestured toward the communication console. "We can help you call them back. Your choice." That was the moment I first seriously considered it. Not out of fear, but out of curiosity. What would it be like to merge with something that had witnessed millions of years of Martian history? To never be alone again? "I need time to think," I said finally. The figure dissolved back into mist, retreating into the vents, but not before spelling out, "You have until the next sunrise." I spent the next hours in a frenzy of research, pulling up everything in the database about Martian soil samples, microbiology, and unusual readings from previous missions. There were hints everywhere. Unexplained power fluctuations, strange patterns in the dust that satellite imagery had captured but scientists had dismissed as wind phenomena. Samples that had briefly shown signs of activity before going dormant again. They had been here all along, watching, waiting for the right conditions. For the right person. As the Martian night deepened, I made my decision. I recorded one final log, explaining everything I discovered and what I planned to do. If humans ever returned to Ares 7, they deserved to know the truth. Just as the first light of dawn crept over the horizon, My personal terminal pinged with an incoming transmission. Emergency protocol activated. Extraction team en route to Ares 7. ETA 72 hours. Hold position. TSA command. They were coming back for me. After all this time, they were finally coming back. The red mist seeped into the room again, forming its humanoid shape. They're coming for me, I said, showing it the message. It is still your choice. I thought about returning to Earth, about debriefings and psych evaluations and being the engineer who had hallucinated Martians during her isolation. I thought about the crushing weight of gravity after so long in the Martian environment, about being alone in crowds of humans who couldn't possibly understand what I'd experienced. Then I thought about staying, about becoming something new, something that would never know loneliness again, about the knowledge I could gain, the secrets of Mars that no human had ever discovered. How would it work? I asked. This symbiosis? We would share. Your consciousness, our form, both preserved, both transformed. Would I still be me? You would be more. I took a deep breath, decision crystallizing. I need to leave them a message, an explanation. The entity nodded, waiting patiently as I recorded my final words to humanity. I explained my choice not as an act of desperation, but as the first contact, the beginning of something extraordinary. I wasn't being consumed. I was evolving. When I finished, I turned to face my future. I'm ready. The red mist enveloped me gently, like a warm embrace. There was no pain, only a strange sensation of expansion as my consciousness touched something vast and ancient and deeply curious. I felt its loneliness receding, replaced by wonder. Felt my own fear dissolving into exhilaration. 3 days later, when the extraction team breached Ares 7's airlock, they found the outpost pristine but empty. My final recording played for them, explaining everything. They didn't believe it, of course. How could they? They searched for my body, for signs of a mental breakdown, for any rational explanation. Meanwhile, outside, the Martian dust moved against the wind, following their movements with newfound curiosity, waiting for the next human who might understand what it means to be truly alone, the next potential partner in an ancient dance of symbiosis. They left me to die on Mars, but Mars had other plans. And we are very patient indeed.